Good evening, brothers and sisters. I'm beautiful, melanated, neuromelanated family. How are you doing today? Um, I've been kind of pondering on coming on today. Something I want to talk a little bit about, and the, one of the main parts of the topic is something that I've been anticipating to share for quite some time now, and I think I'm ready. I used to talk about it and I couldn't talk about it without crying, but I'm in a different place now and so much stronger, and I think I'm ready. First thing though I want to mention, um, oh, the wind is blowing. It feels so good out here. I gotta give reverence to that first. It feels so good. Okay, first thing I want to bring up to you is to remind you to send energy and strength to our brother Rashad Jamal. Um, those of you who know him, those of you who don't know him, he's a young YouTube personality that goes in really hard for his people, for us, and they picked him up Monday, last Monday, not yesterday. I think it's been over a week now, and he's locked up. And from my understanding, on some fabricated charges, is from what I'm hearing. And I'm not surprised because that's what they do. This young brother has been fighting like hell for us. He first of all he teaches us. He he's given what I've seen more to his people in a hands-on kind of way and in a warrior kind of way than most anybody in recent years. He is just a phenomenal being, and I rock with him. I do, and he's our brother, so we should be all should be rocking with him. But he's been detained, and I just want to remind you all to keep him in your heart and mind. And if there's anything that they ask us to do and we can do it, then we should do it. As long as it's something, within the realms of still keeping us safe, we should do it. Even if it's going to your altar. Those of you who have created your altars, this is a wonderful opportunity to go in and fight for your brother at your altars. Whatever you can do. If you're in the area, in the Georgia area, I can't remember exactly where it is, but I know he lives in the Atlanta, Georgia area. But I can provide that information. Just hit me up and I'll give it to you. Because I do have it, just can't remember it off my head. But, if you can show up at those times that they're asking for people to show up at the courthouse, or if there's any rallies coming up, if I hear about them, I'm definitely going to put it out there and let you know what I know. But whatever you can do to support that brother, it is our duty to do that because he has been hell-bent on supporting us and fighting for us in a mighty way. And so we need to do the same. We're one family. Remember, we're one people together, and that unity we need to be walking in on a daily basis. But if you ask the question, those who know me and know how much I love this brother, if you ask the question, why do I go so hard for him? I'm gonna give you an answer, and the first part of my answer is going to be is because I'm supposed to. I'm supposed to go hard for him. He's my brother, just like he's some of your brothers. I'm supposed to go hard for him. So I'm just doing what I am supposed to do. And so, it's high time we, start walking the walk and not just talking the talk. So that's my first response to the answer. Why do you go so hard? What is it about him? Well, you know, we're in this war. We're nearing the end of this war, which we've been in a war for over 500 years. And those of you who don't realize that by now, you know, I don't know what to say. If you can't see that now, I'm just going to shake my head and not comment anymore on it. Because you should know by now that we are in a war. And we've always been in one. But we're closing in near the end of it. And Mother Earth is here. Many of us have been praying and hoping, and just, especially with all of the most recent slaughtering of our people, most recent years, a lot of people have just stepped up on their prayers and whatever else that has come to mind to do because of what the evil ones have been doing to our people, and how so in our face that they are with it now as well. But I'll say this, and this is the beauty of it in all, the flip side, I'll say, because there's no beauty, really, it's not. But the flip side of it is that Mother Earth is cleansing. She's here, and she's cleansing her planet. She's cleansing her earth. And the Anunnakis are back. Our creators, the Anunnakis. Yes, I said it. It's time for somebody to say it. They're back. They're back to do what history says they are going to do. And so with Mother Earth cleansing this planet, those of us who know that anything that's not organic can no longer remain here. And she's doing her work to make sure that happens, to remove anything that's not of this planet. And if you all have been researching and reading like we all should be doing by now, then you're going to know, you should know then what is it that's been here, that's been, come here to kill, steal, and destroy, and has actually been doing that for a very long time. Then you should know that is coming to a cease. That is coming to an absolute end. Now, it's a process, and the evil ones that's been ruling over everyone, all of us, they're fighting like hell to avoid it, but it's going to happen because it is destiny. And so Rashad is he's one vessel that the ancestors have sent here to help close out this war. And I appreciate the brother. I appreciate him with all my heart. Anyone that's doing the right thing, I appreciate them. So what I want to say to those that are not organic on this planet, first of all, I want to say that there are inorganic ones that are here that do vibrate high, that do have the mind, and I assume the heart to do what's right. And I can only say that by knowing some personally that are, and I appreciate that they make the decision that we should be doing. They should be doing it anyway, all of them, but they're not here to do that, majority of them. But those that are vibrating high and making the decision to not participate in racism and white supremacy, then I say, I'm glad that you guys made that decision, because that's going to be the best decision, and not just for us. It's going to be the best decision for you because of what's coming that's taking place on this planet. So you're doing yourself a favor to get rid of that evil or not participate in it, and open your heart chakra and vibrate high in love in the way that we all should be doing. So I'm glad that you guys made that decision. But for those of you that are of a different species and choose not to, then hey, your days are numbered, because you're not going to be allowed to continue to spread that evil here anymore. You're not going to be allowed to continue to destroy this planet, destroy everything on this planet, like you've been doing, wreaking havoc on us for all these years. So for many who do not yet know me and know who I am, I'm going to give you just a little bit of background about who I am. And the first thing, there's something that some of you may not know, but I'm going to share this with you. That when we are born, if you don't know, one of the first things they do, they test our blood. They test our blood because they are looking for certain groups of black people. I'm going to use the word black. That's not the typical term that I like to use, but I know it resonates still with a lot of people. So they test black people's blood, and they're looking for certain bloodlines. And we may not ever know if we are a part of those bloodlines that they are looking for, but we may not know. And then again, the universe may give us the message and confirm it to us, who we are and where we come from. But they test us because we're the ones that stand out and the ones that they are more so concerned about. Growing up and having a certain biologic nature that may be trouble for them as they try to continue to destroy, and work their evil. So, but they always test the blood. That's something that you need to know. The other thing, there are many of our people out here that come from those bloodlines that they fear. And, like, for example, with us women, the Amazonian bloodlines. You've heard of the Amazon women, back in a certain area of so-called Africa. They were warriors, and they were warriors to the bone. They look for those bloodlines because they want to know who they are putting themselves up against while they do what they do. So I just wanted to give you that little tidbit in case you're not familiar with them doing that. When any of us are born, they run those tests. And the other thing is, it is in my nature to love my people in a way that you might not see very often. I don't see it very often, but I have that thing in me that I call it ride or die. I have that in me, and I was born with it in me. I realized it from the age of 12 when I refused to pledge allegiance to the flag, knowing that the flag didn't mean anything for us other than, what's bad about what they do. It didn't mean for us what it meant for them. I understood that at 12. I was in 7th grade when my 7th grade teacher sent me to the office because I refused to pledge allegiance to the flag. And I stood my ground, even when they called my parents and my grandparents. It didn't, because I knew what was right, and that's why sometimes, y'all, when we're kids and we're children, we know what's right and we know what's wrong. Don't let them fool you. Because if I had enough sense to realize that was not, the flag did not mean anything good for us, then we know better. So I just wanted to give you that little tidbit too and share that with you. And that leads me to share this, that when I've always known that we were fighting forces on this planet that were somehow beyond our control. I didn't understand why, because it was, beyond our control. For a long time, I didn't understand. Because I thought, if we would stand up and fight back. But I didn't realize until later on all the things that were being done to us that caused us not to stand up and fight back, especially to our men, our black men. But when long before they killed Trayvon Martin and Kendrick Johnson and so many more of our black brothers and sisters, Sandra Bland, there's several of them as well that they've killed. But long before they kill a lot of them, there was Lawrence Pinkert Jr. Lawrence Pinkert Jr. Is my brother. Was my brother, and he's an ancestor now. He's in the ancestral realm now. But what happened to my brother Lawrence is there was a white couple that he befriended, and they used to ride and hang out and go. My brother used to play the dogs real big, and they were buddies, and I remember I saw it before it happened. I remember telling my brother I didn't feel comfortable about something about them that made me feel uncomfortable, and I saw it, and I shared it with my brother, actually 2 weeks before he was murdered, and he didn't listen to me. And so, to make a long story short, because I'm gonna be brief. I'm not gonna drag this out. I'm just gonna share it with you because I want you to know this part about who I am. But anyway, 2 weeks after I shared this with my brother, I was on my way relocating to South Florida, and my brother became missing. My family alerted me that nobody had seen him in a while. And so that's where it all began. About 2 or 3 days later, a little boy riding a bicycle in the woods outside of my hometown city limit found a skull. He found a human skull, and he went back and told his parents, and they went out and they looked at it, and then they called the authorities. And anyway, they started flashing this skull on the news, and in these clothes. And make a long story short, one of my family members was preparing to go for a jog, and at the time we were looking for my brother. Now, I wasn't there. I had just relocated to South Florida, like I said. But other family members were doing a search, and I was constantly on the phone getting updates. And this relative at the time was preparing for a jog and saw on the news where they had found the remains of someone in this wooded area. And so they showed the clothing. And my brother had these beige shorts that he used to wear to death. He used to wear them all the time. And I'm kind of glad, I was glad he did, when this happened, because it was instrumental in us finding out what we found out. But that, and then there was a particular cap that he put on his head that day that he normally wouldn't wear. But it was a cap that all the males in my family had, and it was Navy issued. My sister's fiance at the time was in the Navy, and so that cap and those beige shorts was instrumental in alerting some of my family members as to it, the remains possibly being my brother. Well, it turned out that it was my brother, and so what happened is this same couple who befriended him, who used to sit at my grandparents' dinner table and eat, who would sit in my father's living room and laugh and chat and all, it ended up that they murdered my brother. The male, it was a couple, so the male, the guy, they manipulated my brother to go out and look at some property on a false real estate deal and got him out in the wooded area outside the city limits where he couldn't holler for help, and they executed him. They executed him. They put a gun to the back of his head and they shot him. And to add insult to injury, that wasn't good enough. They this young man tied rope to my brother's feet and pulled him deeper in the woods. Came out in court. They pulled him deeper in the woods so that he can be fed upon by animals. So it was premeditated, actually. They had already went out and scouted the area to make sure that it was an area that they felt that had the type of animals that could discard him quickly, and possibly they could get away with murder. And that's what they tried to do. And, I want to say it almost worked, but nah, the universe wasn't having it. Nah. So everything began to unfold once my relative saw those, the news, and then they went and did dental work. They found his dentist and compared his dental work and DEA, which DNA is that you guys would call DNA. They got some of my family's DNA and they confirmed that it was my brother, my dear brother. So all we got was maybe a skull and, I don't know, a couple of limbs, a femur, not very much at all. But I'm going to tell you what, that tragedy almost took me out of here. It almost took me out of here. I lie to you not. It almost took me out of here. I immediately transferred. I just transferred. Hadn't been gone 2 weeks. My job in North Florida to South Florida. I put in a transfer immediately back to North Florida to get behind this case and seek justice. Because I knew that in the area where I'm from originally, they call it the Redneck Riviera, a very racist area. I mean, white supremacy to the bone. Donald Trump lives there. A lot of times he's there a lot, so if he's there a lot, you know what kind of area that is. And so I did. I moved back, and after I warned the state's attorney's office, I let them know how visible I was going to be, and that to prepare to see my face and hear my name a lot. And the state attorney didn't like it. Called a meeting, and my family was on the round table, and I told him. And he gave me this. You know how some Caucasians do? They look at you like, how dare you? Talk to me this way. Do you know who I am? I stood toe to toe with him and let him know, so he could get to know who I was, who I am. And and there it began. It took 4 years to get a trial. But I fought like hell, and I did not give up. There were many times they sent people to me, actually my own people. One of them was a relative, and they sent my daddy gave me permission to kind of head everything. And they sent my own people sometime to my office to try to talk me into working some kind of deal, and I sent them out of there faster than they came. So I tell you, it was a very hard experience. It was very sad. It was so much more I can tell you about it, but I just wanted to get that point across. What has happened in my life that has kind of put fire behind me, and and so you can know who I am, and what brought me to this point, to how I am today. And it's a whole lot more, but I won't get into all of that right now. But yes, they murdered my brother, and slaughtered him. There was no excuse. And so I went on a quest from that moment to try to understand. And let me go back, knowing all the other history about the things that they have done to black people. When it hit home, y'all, I'm gonna tell you, it hits different when it hits home. There's an awakening that began to take place at that moment for some of us. It did for me. They done murdered the wrong black person. That they now they done woke up a giant, and no lie, people in my hometown, many of them can tell you exactly what they saw, how I began to respond, and how it changed me after they murdered my brother. And so I tell you, and that was in 1996. And so I began to really dig in and try to understand the origin of that race of people. And what I found, it's just mind-boggling. It's sad. It's hurtful. I'm glad to know that not all of them are that way, but I have found that most of them do behave that way. Many of them, and that's why, our history that they have hid, that we're now uncovering, has been so dramatic, so traumatic at the hands of them. I'm like, you look at history, look at what has happened. That tells the story. You don't have to, bank on lies and theories. No, look at true history. Look at the facts, and the facts don't lie. And so to know that, their history is such an opposite of our history, and